Buckle up, everyone, because today we are diving headfirst into the world of Tesla's full self-driving.
FSD.
That's right. FSD is the cool kids call it.
Right.
And there's so much hype around this technology.
Yeah.
Maybe you're even thinking about getting a Tesla yourself.
Right.
One of the big questions is it safe?
Huge question mark.
Right. And you see Tesla kind of pushing the limits of what it can do. But then on the other hand, you see these stories about accidents and investigations.
Exactly.
So how do we separate fact from fiction?
Well, that's what we're here to do.
Okay.
We've got a whole stack of your sources here.
Okay.
We've got articles, reports, even some data from Tesla themselves.
Cool.
Our mission is to cut through all the hype and give you a clear picture of what FSD can and can't do.
Right now.
Right now.
Today.
Exactly. Not some
crazy future.
Next future, I hope you.
Exactly. And we're also going to explore how Tesla is trying to make FSD safer and look at the challenges that are still
that's big ones
that are out there. Yeah, and one thing that's important to mention right off the bat is that FSD is not just autopilot.
Completely different.
Okay, so for those who've had autopilot for a while, what's the difference?
So autopilot is essentially just a really fancy driver assistance system.
Okay.
So it's got things like adaptive cruise control, lane keeping, those sorts of features that help you while you're still driving.
Got it.
FSD, on the other hand, is aiming for a much higher level of autonomy.
Okay, so the car is making more of the decisions itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is a big... But even with FSD, the car is still under development.
Right.
You can't just, kick back and take a nap.
Right.
It's not truly self-driving.
Gotcha.
You still have to supervise and be ready to take over at a moment's notice.
Okay, so which brings us right back to the safety concerns. Yeah. Because Tesla loves to talk about how safe their cars are. And in their Q1 2024 report, they claim there was one crash for every 7.63 million miles driven with autopilot engaged.
Right.
Compared to one crash for every 955,000 miles without it.
Huge difference.
So are they onto something here?
Well, it's tempting to look at those numbers and think, okay, well, we're good.
Yeah.
But a lot of statistics, the devil is in the details.
Okay.
It's not a completely straightforward comparison.
Okay.
We have to think about the conditions where autopilot is typically used.
Right.
Maybe people tend to engage it more on highways, which are generally safer than city streets.
Yeah, with pedestrians and cyclists and all that.
Exactly.
Okay, so we can't just take those numbers.
At face value.
At face value.
Yeah.
So how is Tesla trying to make FSD safer in the real world then?
Well, they're using a multi-layered approach.
Okay.
It's kind of like a safety net with several layers.
Got it.
So first, you've got this constant stream of software updates that are beamed right into your car.
Right.
They recently rolled out version 12.4.3, which claims to have some major improvements.
So it's like your car's constantly learning and evolving.
Exactly. It's getting smarter all the time.
Cool.
On top of that, you have what are called ADS features, Advanced Driver Assistance Systems.
Okay.
These are a mix of passive safety measures, like, your airbags, crumple zones, all those things we hope we never need.
But they're there.
Right. And then you have the active systems, like automatic emergency braking, lane keeping assist. That can kick in when things get a little hairy.
Okay, cool. And then there's also this driver monitoring system, and that's where they use those in-cabin cameras.
Exactly.
Which is a little creepy.
A little bit, yeah.
But I understand why they're doing it.
I mean, the point is to make sure you're actually paying attention, not, taking a nap while the car's driving.
Right.
Exactly.
So is it enough, though?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, these are all steps in the right direction, but there are some big question marks. Like
what?
How good are those cameras at actually preventing misuse? Yeah. And can we really rely on cameras alone, or are there better ways to make sure drivers stay engaged?
Yeah, and it's easy to get kind of caught up in all the
hype,
the shiny new features.
Yeah.
But we have to remember the human element.
Absolutely.
And speaking of shiny new features, there are some new FSD updates that sound pretty cool.
Really interesting. One that's been getting a lot of attention, maybe for the wrong reasons, is actually Smart Summon.
Actually smart zone.
Or ASS for short.
Okay. I can already see where this is going.
It definitely has led to some interesting situations.
Yeah.
But the idea is, your car can navigate parking lots and even come to you from a distance.
It's like a robot puppy.
Yeah, like a loyal robot puppy.
Okay.
But there have been reports of it going hilariously and sometimes dangerously wrong.
Oh, no.
Yeah, one case where a Tesla tried to navigate a tricky parking lot and ended up stuck in a ditch.
Oh, so maybe not quite ready for prime time.
Maybe not.
And then there's these driver profiles for different roads.
Right.
Which sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, the idea is to tailor the system to your driving style and the specific roads you're on.
Okay.
It has potential.
Yep.
But again, does this really address the fundamental safety issues?
Yeah, is it more about convenience or is it really making the system safer?
Right.
And this is where things get even more interesting because you've got Tesla pushing the boundaries with these new features. But regulatory bodies are starting to raise their eyebrows.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely paying attention.
In fact, a U.S. agency recently expressed concern that Tesla's marketing might be misleading people into thinking that their cars are fully capable of driving themselves.
Which we know.
Which we've established is not the case.
It's not the case yet.
Right. And that overconfidence, that belief that the car can handle anything, that's one of the
biggest dangers with this technology.
So it's not just the tech itself, it's how people use it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you could have the most advanced self-driving system in the world, but
if people are over-reliant on it, things can go south very quickly.
Okay, so we talked about the car reacting to an emergency.
Right.
What about if you're the one in an emergency? Like imagine you're injured.
Yeah.
Or there's some dangerous situation.
Right.
And you need to get to your car quickly.
Okay.
Could you rely on enhanced summon to bring your car to you?
Well, in theory, enhanced summon lets you navigate more complex environments.
Okay.
And come to you from a greater distance. But right now it's mainly designed for parking lots and garages.
Right.
Could it handle a truly chaotic emergency situation?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure.
So maybe don't expect your Tesla to magically show up and save you.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Maybe just run to it the old-fashioned way.
It's a good reminder that FSD is not some
get-out-of-jail-free card.
Right, exactly.
And it comes to emergencies.
Yeah, you're still the one.
The driver is still ultimately responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's talk about some of the bigger hurdles that FSD is facing.
Okay.
That go beyond just, adding new features.
Not just bells and whistles.
What are those big roadblocks?
Well, we've already touched on edge cases.
Right.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
But there's also the limitation of Tesla's approach to sensing the world.
Okay.
They've gone all in on cameras
as
the primary way for the car to see its surroundings.
So that's interesting because a lot of other companies that are working on self-driving are using cameras and radar and LiDAR.
Right, a whole suite of sensors.
So what's the thinking behind Tesla's camera-only approach?
Well, Tesla argues that their vision-based system is closer to how humans drive. Right.
We rely heavily on our vision.
Sure.
But humans also have other senses that contribute to our driving.
Right.
Our sense of balance and spatial awareness.
Yeah.
So it's possible that a multi-sensor approach, using cameras plus radar and LiDAR, could provide a more complete and reliable picture of the world.
So it's like some companies are giving their cars multiple senses, and Tesla's just going with one.
Kinda, yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Absolutely.
And then there's also the massive cost of developing this technology. We're talking billions of dollars.
Billion?
Yeah, I read somewhere that Tesla spent over $10 billion on FSD this year.
It's a lot of money.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
So can they keep doing that?
Right. Will it ever be good enough to justify that kind of investment?
Right.
Yeah.
And all of this is happening
against a backdrop of evolving regulations.
It seems like every country and even every state
has different rules about self-driving cars.
It's a moving target.
Yeah.
And it's not just about safety regulations.
Right.
I mean, Tesla's had issues in China, for example, related to data security and mapping regulations.
Wow.
So it's not as simple as just building a car that can drive itself.
Right.
They have to navigate a complex web of legal and political hurdles.
So could tighter regulations actually make FSD safer in the long run?
That's a great question.
Even if it slows things down a bit?
Yeah, that's a question a lot of people are debating right now.
Yeah.
Some people argue that a more cautious, regulated approach is necessary
Yeah.
to ensure that this technology is rolled out responsibly
Yeah.
with public safety as the top priority.
So it's a tough balancing act.
It is.
You want to encourage innovation,
Right.
but you also don't want to rush something like this
Absolutely.
without making sure it's safe.
Yeah, we've explored the potential of FSD. We've dug into the technical details.
Yeah.
We've been honest about the challenges and concerns.
Yeah. So where does this leave you, dear listener?
Right.
Hopefully you're feeling more informed about this whole FSD thing.
Yeah.
We've tried to give you the facts, not just the hype.
The decision of whether to embrace this technology or approach it with caution is ultimately yours.
Yeah. And here's a final thought to ponder.
Okay.
What if FSD really does become amazingly good and just completely normal?
Yeah.
Like, would we even want to give up control of driving?
Right. What would we lose and what would we gain?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
It's something to think about.
Yeah, as we move into this uncharted territory.
Exactly. All right, well, that's it for part 1 of our deep dive into Tesla's full self-driving.
Stay tuned for part 2.
We'll be back soon with even more to discuss.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Tesla's full self-driving.
FSD.
That's right. And last time we left off with this idea of, you're cruising along, FSD's doing its thing.
Right.
And suddenly, emergency situation.
Yeah.
What happens?
How does it handle it?
So let's see how FSD might handle those moments when...
things get real.
Yeah.
Well, one thing Tesla is working on for future versions of FSD is audio signal detection.
Okay.
Apparently in version 13, your car will be able to hear things like sirens and react accordingly.
Wait, so the car will know to pull over when it hears an ambulance?
That's the idea.
That sounds like something out of a movie.
It's pretty futuristic.
Yeah, but how does that even work in the real world?
Well, it all comes down to some pretty sophisticated audio processing and AI algorithms. The car's computer system will need to be able to tell the difference between a real emergency siren and, say, construction noise or a car horn.
Okay, so it's got to filter out all that other stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, because imagine you're downtown.
Oh, yeah.
Sirens, blaring horns, honking.
Everywhere.
People yelling. Could it even keep up with all that?
Well, that's a good question.
And what if the siren's coming from, like, around a corner?
Right, somewhere the car can't see.
Yeah.
That's another challenge.
Okay, so audio signal detection.
It's a cool idea.
Cool idea.
But it's not a magic bullet.
Not foolproof.
Right, it's another layer of awareness for the car, but it's not going to be perfect.
And even if the car does hear a siren, will it always make the safest decision?
That's a big question.
Right, okay, so let's say the car doesn't hear the siren in time.
Okay.
What about automatic emergency braking?
AEB.
AEB, that seems like it'd be pretty important.
Absolutely. AEB is a key safety feature.
Okay.
It's designed to slam on the brakes if it senses a potential collision.
Okay, but is it fast enough to react in time?
That's the question, isn't it?
In every situation.
Like, what if a pedestrian jumps out in front of you?
Yeah, or a car swerves into your lane.
Exactly, those split-second unpredictable situations. That's where things get tricky.
Yeah, no matter how smart the AI is, can it really account for everything?
That's where the concept of edge cases comes in.
Edge cases.
These are those rare, weird situations that can trip up even the most advanced AI.
So like a curveball.
Yeah, like life throws you a curveball.
Yeah, and your car's not ready for it.
And your car's driving itself.
That's a little scary.
It can be.
Okay, and the problem with edge cases is there are so many.
Right, you can't program for every possible scenario.
Right.
That's why we still see those real-world examples of FSD making mistakes sometimes with serious consequences.
And that brings us to this whole issue of public perception.
Right.
Because every time there's an accident involving FSD and it makes the news,
it chips away at people's trust.
Yeah, and then you see those videos online of FSD messing up.
Right, those viral videos.
And they kind of stick with you.
They do, even if statistically those incidents are pretty rare.
Public perception is a big hurdle for self-driving cars in general.
Huge hurdle.
Yeah.
I mean, even if the data shows that FSD is statistically safer than human drivers,
right,
people are still going to be wary.
It's going to take time to build that trust.
It is. Those dramatic failures make a bigger impression than all the times the system works perfectly.
Okay, so we've talked about the car reacting to an emergency.
Right.
What if you're the one in an emergency?
Okay.
And you need to get to your car quickly.
Right.
Like you're injured.
Yeah.
Or there's a dangerous situation.
Okay.
And you need to get out of there.
Could you rely on enhanced summon?
Yeah. to bring your car in?
Well, in theory, Enhanced Summon lets your car navigate more complex environments and come to you from a greater distance. But right now, it's really designed for parking lots and garages.
Right.
Could it handle a truly chaotic emergency situation?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure.
Well, that's it for part 2 of our deep dive into Tesla's full self-driving.
Stay tuned for part 3,
where we'll wrap it all up.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.